these guys, like, you say he was the best player on the court. You could tell his talent straight away. Do you think talent is, you're born with it, or you think it can be ingrained or developed? Could you tell straight away this guy's got it?
He was trained from very early from his father. His father was, I think, Lithuanian Davis Cup coach and the nicest guy. So Vitus been playing all his life, but the key for all of this, and you've been around this game, Jason, it's dedication. And as a kid at 15 and 16 to be dedicated is very tough. And he was willing to practice and willing to take advice. I mean, I see some of the questions you might have asked were even about senior players. You can't get better unless you change things. There are levels of stroke production, levels of movement. And if you can find a way of improving them, it's not just doing the same thing time and time again. It's finding, if your stroke production gets you to here, that's your upper bound. You can do it a million times, not going to get better. You got to find a way to make your level and higher and be able to develop strokes and movement to get you up to here. And you have to be willing to listen. And Vitus had that.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, I think, today there's a lot of talk about, developing the right mindset, the right attitude. I want to ask you, I mean, you are a super passionate guy, but I want to take you back a little bit. I mean, you were coached by Harry Hopman. I mean, this guy is a living legend, arguably one of the best coaches in the world.
Deservedly so. He came to Port Washington Tennis Academy after Nick Bollettieri left. Okay, that's another story. But Harry used to hit with his wife, Lucy, at like 6 a.m. on the courts. And I would be on a ball machine next to him, hitting it. I was a little maniacal. But he was a tough disciplinarian. He would take, I'll give you an example with Vitus and me and other players. He would take a shopping basket of balls and just hit you side to side, and you go for every ball, and you don't stop until the basket's finished. He didn't hit balls. He just hit them side. He was a very good player, but he would just hit side to side. And I remember one time when a guy, a Davis Cup player from, I think, maybe Brazil, was at net, and he was going to hit volleys. And Harry had him going left, right, back, forth. And Harry hit a ball, and the guy sort of let it go. Harry walked up to him very quietly and looked at him and said, "We don't do that here." And that's it. This guy, after that, he never stopped going. You don't have to make it, but you got to go for it.
Yeah, so he was instilling these character strengths in guys right from the get-go, saying, these are the rules in my place. You want me to teach you the real stuff? Well, you got to participate in the rules first.
That's correct. There was no discussion about that.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool that you've worked with all these great people and to take all those experiences. I look at the back and I see all these trophies there, and I don't want to ignore them. Harold, you love playing. I mean, you're still competing regularly, right?
I did. This last year, I had 3 slip discs in the back. I had knee problems, so I didn't this last year. But yes, and especially where I am now in Thailand, the pomp and circumstance here is amazing. I mean, they would have parades before tournaments. I mean, you've played here, but when I first started to play some tournaments, they'd have like the mayor, the governor. I mean, everyone come out to meet you, and you also at that time could play 3 different tournaments on the weekend. In other words, not just singles. A lot of times it's doubles here. They would have you, and it's combined ages. So if I were to play, let's say, an 80, and I was 50, I could play with someone 30.
Yeah.
And if I were to play a 90, I could play with someone 40, let's say. And what happened is I would win 3 tournaments a weekend because there weren't a whole lot of players who really could who understood the game, who knew how to close, who, you know, a lot of that. And in fact, in this country, they tried to tell me that they were going to subtract 10 years off my age. So if I was 50,
why is that?
This is Thailand. If I was 50, I then become 40. Okay. And I described to people that they can't do that. So they didn't do that, but they then, over the last few years, have changed things where they've labeled players A, B, and C. So two A players can't play together. And then had minimum ages such that if you play, let's say, a 100 age group, the minimum age could be 45. So they've tried to change the rules in that. But, you know, when I went out and would play every weekend, I would come back with 3 trophies.